write about. Trying to figure out what it's all about. Existentialist, am I worth anything or just this gown? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Spending time all alone, sending my songs through the phone, dreaming of a better home, we while focused on trying to hone this craft, witchcraft. I hope the brujas let this last.
That was great sounds of Watts with Outside on WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven. Myself, Preston, with my partner in crime, Long Island raised, Elm City made, EZ BlueZ is in the building. EZ BlueZ, you're better with introductions more than me. Who do we have with us today on the show?
Some people say the most important question in the world is what came first, the chicken or the egg? Well, what I have to say, actually, one of the most important questions in the world is what truly makes a scene. Is it the people behind the scene itself? Is it the establishments that are there? Is it the long-running history? For that, I want to take a look at this amazing pinnacle of the scene in New Haven. And we're talking about the Ninth Square. And when you're dealing with the Ninth Square, obviously you're dealing with Café 9, a place that has been called the musician's living room. A place that no matter what, as many times as I have played there, no matter there be 4 people or about 100 and change people in the venue, people are there to listen to music. It's one of the few places that you are not just the soundtrack for people drinking. Now, a lot of people got a little nervous because last year it became under new ownership, under new management. But I can here to tell you today that new ownership, that new management is someone who actually came up through the scene, someone who knows the people, someone who understands what New Haven is. So for that and that alone, I want you to put your hands together, not if you're driving. If you're driving, please keep your hands at 10 and 2. But mentally, you can put your hands together for the fantastic, the amazing, and now one of the new owners of Café 9, Paddy Meyer. Welcome, brother. Welcome.
Oh, thanks, man. Thank you. Thanks for having me. This is cool.
Of course, of course. Now, just so that for the people who don't know you, where exactly did you come from? Because you definitely don't have 100% of a Connecticut accent.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, I grew up in like Queens and New Jersey, actually. Like I was born in Queens, and then like I moved out to New Jersey like in my late teens and everything like that. And then and then I moved up here in New Haven. I moved up here in 2016, something like that. And, you know, I've been here ever since. I hope I don't plan on leaving, but I mean, the way the rents are going, it's, you know, it's kind of looking like I keep saying ever since I moved up here, I was like, people look at me crazy, but I'm always like, yeah, Derby's next up. Like in 5 years, Derby's going to be like East Rock. You know what I mean? Everyone looks at me like I'm crazy. And I'm like, dude, like it happens quicker than you think. You know what I mean? And the way, I mean, after COVID, the way the rents have just like almost tripled everywhere and stuff like that. Like I'm finding cheaper apartments in Brooklyn than up here.
Really?
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's super interesting because when you saw a lot of people during COVID rush out of the city because everyone was so on top of each other, they came out to Connecticut and different things like that. So things became more sparse. But that also brings us up to the business aspect in which you're rocking and rolling. Coming out of COVID, you make this incredible risky choice to invest in a club, and not only a club, but for what most people know, next to Toad's Place, Café 9 is the club.
Yeah,
you know, in New Haven. What made you take that chance, and what made you really bet on yourself?
Well, I mean, honestly, it was a little bit of like desperation. Like I've been bartending ever since I moved up here. You know, I started at Anna Liffey's, and like I had never bartended a day in my life until I moved up here. I was always just like a musician. I used to busk in the subway. I used to gig. I used to do like studio sessions, licensing work, you know, all that. So I never really had like a straight job until I moved up here. I saw this ad on Craigslist where it was like, "Do you like beer and live music?" And I'm like, yeah, I sure do. And so I shoot the guy an email. And if anybody remembers Anna Liffey's, I mean, I know it's been, I think it shut down like 2017 or something like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, that was a real New Haven institution. You know, I mean, it was like before my time. I kind of got in there when the wheels were kind of falling off. But you know, I show up and I'm talking to Pat Mansfield. He's totally out of his mind. So I'm like, okay, cool, like a kindred spirit, you know? And he just like was talking to me for like 2 hours about like everything but bartending, which for me was good because like I said, I never bartended a day in my life. And finally, after like 2.5 hours of just like excruciating conversation and like his socio-political commentary, he just kind of like looks at me. He goes, "Well, you look like a bartender. You can start on Thursday." And I was like, "All right, I'm in." And, so like, I guess like, like the rest is history. I worked at like a lot of different bars around New Haven.
Yeah.
And, and I ended up at the Owl Shop, which everybody thinks is like a good gig, but it's like, that was the worst bartending job I ever had. It was like it was like the least amount of money. You're breathing in all this smoke. You know what I mean? It's a horrible place to work. It's very like, they don't treat women like well there, or they're not, like I would hear a lot of just like transphobic comments. It's just like stuff that like I'm not really like about, you know what I'm saying? And it definitely is like a good old boys club over there. So I was just like miserable working there. And my brother came up to visit one time, and he lives down in North Carolina. And he's like, dude, you work here like every day? I'm like, yeah, just about. He's like, dude, you're like breathing all the smoke. He's like, you're gonna die. Like, I gotta, So, and we had already been. Me and Jesse were working at the Owl Shop together, the other owner, and we had all these hatch-brained plans of like, yo, we should open up our own bar, because honestly, when you're like a semi-competent bartender, like you kind of end up running someone's place for them anyway. It's like first like 3 weeks, they find out that like you show up sort of on time and semi-sober. They're like, oh, you got management material written all over you. So they end up kind of giving you keys, and you're like, before you know it, you're like doing the reports, you're counting the money, you're like scheduling people's shifts, and you're like, but for like, minimum wage plus tips. So you're like, well, why not I just like open my own bar?
Myself.
Basically, yeah, I'm like doing everything else. You know what I mean? And it was actually we were talking to Mark Shalaba, who's like he's an old school New Haven guy. He's played in a ton of bands, and like he's a really, really accomplished chef. Cool. He just kind of was like, he was gonna be our chef, and then in the early stages, he was just like, oh man, you guys are looking for a place. He's like, Paul is selling Cafe 9, right? And I'm like, no, I had no idea. And I had played at Cafe 9 before I even moved up here. You know what I mean? When I was still living in New York, and so I was like, oh my God, I'm like, I love that place. Are you kidding me? He's like, yeah, he's been trying to sell it for years, Yeah. So like we went down I texted or called Paul, and he's like, yeah, come down, this day and this time, and we'll talk. And like the first thing he says to me when I walk in, he's like, dude, you were the guitar player in that Jeremy and the Harlequins band. And I'm thinking to myself, like, how does that guy, I mean, this is like 5 years later. Yeah. I'm like 40 pounds heavier. Like I don't look the same, like at all. And like Paul remembered me, and I'm just like, dude, this guy is like, this guy is it. Like, and so we get to talking and everything like that. Yeah. And we're and like apparently, like I said, he'd been trying to sell the place for years, and I guess he didn't feel right, or selling it to certain people. I heard somebody was going to turn it into an Italian restaurant, which
really
kind of like, that doesn't really make sense in this space. Whatever.
It's way off.
Yeah, right. And so I mean, it happened like quicker than I really expected. Like you know what I'm saying? Like it was maybe like a 2-month thing, and the state of Connecticut doesn't really make it easy for like small business owners to. I mean, there's so much bureaucratic just like stuff you gotta like cut through, like to do anything. But I mean, like we got our liquor permit. Like we took the place over April 1st. We got our liquor permit like 11:30 in the morning on March 31st. Like we were all just like biting our nails, like what are we gonna do? Are we gonna like sell ginger ales and stuff? Like, it's like
Cafe 9, strongest ginger ale on the block.
Yeah, right. I'm like, these are like the new owners and stuff, and it's like, oh, I can't actually sell you a beer. Like I'm like, we're gonna be dead in the water. Like this is gonna be terrible. You know what I mean? Yeah. And and honestly, like me and Jesse worked at the Owl Shop up until like March 31st. Like we worked like like it wasn't like we took a vacation or anything like that, and like it was like literally like we were working at the Owl Shop basically the morning of April 1st, and then like we woke up and then like started Cafe 9 and everything, like so it was a real kind of like I don't know, I hate to say like a whirlwind because that kind of sounds cliche, but yeah, I mean, it was
surreal.
like,
is that the right word?
Yeah, no, like
Really? Yeah.
like April 1st, I woke up and I'm like, oh God, I own a bar now. This is crazy. So
And
yeah,
how funny for that to be April Fool's Day, that actually everything goes into
Yeah.
effect. You're like, by the way, on April Fool's Day, my entire life changes, hopefully for the
yeah.
better. I don't know,
I,
maybe it's a bad sign that it's April 1st.
No, man, and it did honestly. It sucked because there was
Mhm.
like a huge amount of not a huge amount. There was like, but a decent amount of backlash because a
Mhm.
place like Cafe Nine is really important, and it's not like it's not like oh, I'm taking over this sandwich shop or
Right.
Right.
or this like shoe store or something like that. Like there's a huge like cultural like component to this place,
Yeah,
and
a big
and
following.
yeah,
Mhm.
and
Huge
and
following.
like I know what it's like, man. Like all the places I used to go to when I was like
Mhm.
younger, like they're gone now. Like
Yeah.
Death by Audio is like I think it's like Vice bought it and turned it into like a storage room, and like
Mhm.
like CBGB's is like a place that sells like expensive CBGB's t-shirts now. So it's like I wanted to tell like the greater city of New Haven, like, yo, I get it. I know it's scary, but I was like, we're not gonna screw it up. Like, we're
Mhm.
not, and we did these two newspaper articles, and it was in retrospect like we shouldn't have done it because it was like they didn't get the point across. The New Haven Register, they lumped our article in with the State House closing,
Yeah, I
getting
remember
turned
that.
into and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, we're not, so basically the whole timbre of the article was like, gentrification is ruining, the music scene in New Haven. And
Yeah.
I'm like, why did you like we're too like
Two different
broke.
locations.
Well, it's also
Yeah.
too like it's not
Mhm.
we're not turning Cafe Nine into luxury condos. We're like two, bartenders from New Haven that can barely pay our rent. Like probably taking on an even worse idea. Like, oh, let's take over a music club. You know what I mean? And I'm like, why did you lump us in with that article? So
Mhm.
it was, and like we had to fire. We fired all the bartenders, which wasn't a popular choice either. And like
Right.
I get that, but I mean, it's not like we got kids and stuff like that. And
Mhm.
it's not the kind of place where like you as the owner can just like sit down in the basement like watching the cameras count money. It's like
Mhm.
Right.
the place because we like the door money goes to the bands. It's like we don't make money like
Mhm.
off again, that's important though because that's why we can book like cool stuff is because
Right.
Mhm.
and it feels good to take care of like the local bands. It's like I have like 3 local bands on a Friday night. They bring 120 of their friends. Like I'm handing them like a big stack of money. Like, hey, good
Right.
job, guys. And they're like, I've never made this much money at a gig before. And it's like that feels really good, man. Because I've played a million gigs. I've been on a million tours where you don't get anything. They're just like,
Mhm.
yo,
At
thanks for
all.
playing. Like, see you later. And
Right.
like as it really makes it unsustainable as a musician. You know what I'm saying? Between like them taking cuts of your merch and
Yeah.
and
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and Spotify and like I used to do like licensing stuff. Like I used to do studio work for like songs that were ending up in like TVs and movies and stuff. And all of a sudden these like licensing companies started sniffing around. They're taking like 40 to 50% of your publishing. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? So it's basically like the only way to make money as a musician anymore, besides like busking in the street and selling merch. It's like, what are you gonna do? Fiverr or
Yeah.
like freelance gigs? You're gonna teach music, which that's not really sustainable. People cancel lessons and blah blah blah. But I'm kind of getting off track here. But I mean, yeah, it was it honestly like taking it over kind of sucks because like a lot of people were like, yo, I hate these new owners.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
Right.
it wasn't like I could like make this big PSA like, hey, I grew up like as a punk, going to punk shows, like going to VFW halls, and
Right.
trust me, I know what it's like when your favorite club gets turned into a
Mhm.
Lululemon store or whatever. Because like you can't like say that stuff. It all sounds like inauthentic. So I was just like, and luckily, man, like we just kind of like weathered the storm,
Mhm.
and we just kind of kept like showing up and like and honestly, man, like I can't take credit for I can't take credit for any of this stuff because it's all Paul's like
Right.
vision. We're just he just kind of handed us the keys. Like I'm not like
Right.
we stay up until last call again. But I mean they used to do that before COVID too. So like
Right.
that's not a new thing. I'm booking like a lot of the same bands. I'm dealing with the same. I mean it's really like we're just kind of continuing the tradition that like Paul started here.
Right.
You know what I'm
Right. Of
saying?
course.
So I
Yeah. You
can't
don't want
take
to ruin
credit for
anything.
Yeah, like I can't take
Yeah,
credit
of
for any
course.
stuff, man. Like there was nothing that Paul was doing that I felt was wrong or bad or needed changing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Now,
Like I was
Yeah.
kind of like, oh, they
yeah.
don't serve food here. Like, we should start serving food. Like that's really about it.
Yeah.
You know?
Well,
So,
and that's honestly one of the main reasons why we wanted to have you on the show, is so that you
course.
could tell that story. People could know that
yeah.
you are someone that came up through the community. That is something that's very big. And one of the things I remember reading those articles, I was like, oh, this is a bad look.
Yeah.
I'm a little weary, you know.
Yeah.
But then you had people like Mo Nichols, you know, who were
Mhm.
co-signing for you, and Chesky, who was co-signing for you,
Yeah.
you know. And if either one of those two co-sign for anybody, I'm like, okay, cool, let's follow them into Valhalla, because this is going to be, you know, it's going to be a dope ride.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, it's one of the main reasons why I want to hear. You got 2024 coming up. This is going to be your first year of owning that spot for the entire year.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to talk about, you know, the future, what you do have planned in there. Not only the
Mhm.
stuff that Paul has laid down, because that incredible foundation, but how you guys are spinning that foundation into what it's going to be in that next level. And we're not
Sure.
talking, like you said, there's not going to be a Lululemon's shop next to you. You know,
Not yet. I don't know.
not yet. It depends. You know, we'll rent out the first corner. You know,
Yeah, I'm a vending booth. You know what I mean?
Hey, man,
Absolutely. On
Ben-
WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven, myself, Preston, and my partner in crime, Long Island raised, Elm City made, EZ Blues is in the building. Paddy Meyer, continue your great story with us, man.
Oh, I don't know about great, but you know, it's story nonetheless.
It's
You know what I
building
mean?
blocks, though. We learned a lot of building blocks about you.
Yeah.
And it's kind of crazy how you said Anna Liffey's, because that's like the school of hard knocks when it comes to
Mhm.
bartending. There was a really tough crowd, so you definitely have a thick skin.
Yeah,
So-
man. I mean, you know, I didn't, you know, I didn't really like, you know, I didn't. I mean, I've been dealing, you know, especially if you're gonna be a musician, dude. It's like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, you just every day you're dealing with like just constant rejection, and you know what I mean. Like you have to have a thick skin to do anything creative in America, man, because this entire country is really is geared against you doing like either like, you know, like being a small business owner, doing anything that's sort of like fringe, or you know what I'm saying, because people don't, you know, they don't support it either till like you're dead, or you know, or it pops off, man. So it's like you really just kind of have to keep your head down, and you know, which again is why a place like this is so important, is because it does provide a space for, you know, if you're, you know, you're like, we give all the local bands a chance. Like I'm not gatekeeping anything. I don't look at like people's Instagram. Like the only litmus test for like getting a show at Cafe 9 is like you're not a cover band, which is important, because I feel like that's
Right.
there's enough places in Connecticut for cover bands to play at. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you do your own original music, and I think it's like, I don't, how do I put this? Like, not like I think it's good, because like, I mean, who am I? Like, I'm just some jerk that owns a club, but like I'm you know, like that it has some sort of like creative value to it. Like,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? Because
Right.
I don't just book stuff that I like, because if I only book stuff that I like I'd only book punk, hardcore, and like outlaw country, and like that's not really like a sustainable model. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like I book stuff that like I'm not necessarily into. Like I don't love singer-songwriter stuff. I don't love bluegrass. I'm not like, I mean, I came up playing jazz music, but like I don't really love jazz like that anymore. Like, you know what I'm saying? But like there's huge intrinsic value to like all that stuff, man. I'm not just gonna be like, yo, you're a singer-songwriter, like get out of here. Like I'll listen to your stuff and be like, oh, okay, yeah, this guy's or girl or whoever is like, you know, this person is really like onto something. Like you know what I mean? And that's the only litmus test. There's no, oh, you need a certain amount of followers, or you need to be on a label, or someone has to recommend you. Like, nah, it's like, send me your stuff, and like I listen to it, and if it's like if it's dope, then you got to bill. That's it. It's simple as that.
And for all those, he's not just talking, because that's exactly, you know, we're actually playing there on Wednesday. And it literally, from that point, someone gave me your number, I shot you a text message, and I'm not someone, you know, I didn't hear something within 2 or 3 days, I called you, because you know, I'm efficient. You know? but that's just who I am and the way it goes through. And you're like, okay, cool. Just, how can I listen to you? Let's go about it. And then within a couple of days we're booked and we started promo for the show. And all of that is so super important. Like we talk about it all the time. And I'm so glad we have like an actual venue owner on here today to talk about this. Make sure as you're a band, follow up. Don't just send an email and hope. Send another email and follow up. If you've got a text message, text. If you can get to the venue, go to the venue and meet the owner straight up. Be like, hey, I sent you I sent you an email a couple weeks ago. This is who I am. I just wanted to see you face to face.
Bother me.
You're doing that. Yeah, because it's not really a bother, but you're separating yourself from the pack.
It's not, and literally, like, I mean, I do the booking here. It's like it's me, it's one guy, and it's like I have like this mountain of emails. Like, I usually hate opening my email because I'm just like, oh my god, like 700 unread messages. So it's like, if you're like the 650th email, like I probably won't get to you, and it's like send it again, and like you know what I mean. It's not a perfect system. Like I wish I had the money to hire, and I have people like Michelle from Go Cat Go. And like Los from the State House will still send me people. Chris Ashcroft sends me people. So like I get help from the community. But it's like, it's a one-person job, and it's not a perfect system, and it's just me. Like, you know what I mean? But I mean, it's like and honestly too, like I don't really look at people's Spotify, man, especially if you're up and coming band. I like to look at people's band camps because there's no stats on that stuff. And honestly, like like I said, we're continuing the groundwork that Paul Meyer laid out for this place. But I actually like, I really feel like there's plenty of places where quote unquote normal or like cover bands or, like I am trying to book like fringe, underground, weird, kind of inaccessible, like music here because where else? I mean, it's kind of like there's like us, there's like Never Ending Books. I mean, like Scottish Dave's is great. They book a lot of like cool stuff up there. I know I'm leaving people out, so I'm not trying to turn this into a name game or anything like that. But I mean, there's plenty of places for like, your Grateful Dead cover band to play at. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I had a friend, Sean, who recently passed. They were doing booking at Trans Pecos out in Brooklyn, which is a very cool venue that caters to like underground like music and culture. And Sean out of COVID, Sean was doing the booking at Trans Pecos, and my friend Dave was working there with Sean, and Dave was saying Sean was booking all this crazy stuff, and Dave goes to Sean like, "What are you doing? Like, we got like we're just coming out of COVID. We got to make money. Like you're booking all this crazy noise stuff and like all this like wild like you got to make money, dude. Come on, like." And Sean told Dave, "Trust me, the kids will come. Like there's enough. If you book this, like if you book the weird stuff, like the kids will come." And I was at their memorial last Thursday, and I mean, I know it was their memorial, and they were really important for the scene and everything. So I mean, it was packed to the gills. But I mean, Trans Pecos is a busy club, and they're not booking commercially friendly stuff. They're doing fringe stuff. So it's good to know that there is still like, there's places for underground stuff to thrive.
No, there definitely is, and that's one of the key things, and that's what I love about like you guys picking up Sanctuary, because I used to do the door at the State House. I'm actually the guy they tried to bring over with them, and so when Sanctuary was like, we need to bring our door guy, you're like, yeah, we have our own, it's okay. I wasn't. It's fine. I understand how business goes.
It's also like I'm not trying to take work out of like exactly. out of my people's like pockets too. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's how it goes.
Exactly, and I completely understand that. So I just wanted you to know that I completely understood that, and I am actually the face of that, the guy that they were talking about. But I watched Sanctuary grow from something that was maybe 30 heads that were coming through the door to selling out, at 200, 250 heads, and it was just something amazing to do, and all they were massively consistent.
They don't play they play weird stuff at Sanctuary. You know what I mean? For lack of a better term, it's like they're not playing top 40. But there is no top 40 dark wave. But you know what I'm saying? They're playing what they want to play, and I love that about it. You know?
Yeah, no, definitely, and also it's one of those things that everyone is 100% accepted at, and that was something that was so beautiful to watch and to grow. So I'm so happy to see that it's in a place now where that is still accepted, and there's still a lot of growth that can happen from there. You know, and I can't wait to see like what the next evolution of Sanctuary is going to be. I heard you also got the Party Out of Bounds going from there now too, right?
Yeah, it's Party Out of Bounds. There's Heat Sink. There's Connecticut Magazine. They're doing their monthly. Well, it's like bi-monthly now. But again, it's all and the beautiful thing about like Heat Sink and all these other like like DJ nights is that it's still underground, like Heat Sink is all wax. It's underground techno house rave, and it's funny because that party is very, very successful, just like Sanctuary, because I mean, you know, they have a vision and they stick with it, and they're unapologetic and unwavering. And it's funny because I'll get emails that people are like, oh yeah, you know, we do this, like we do techno night, and it's like it's great because we do like top 40 and people have fun and they have a really good time. And I'm like, this is not the place for that. Not to say, I mean, I want people to have fun and have a good time, but like I want you to turn people on to new stuff that they've never. That was always my thing going out. I'm like, before the days of Shazam, I'm like, you go up to it like, who is this? Like, what's playing right now? Like, or even like, what genre of music would you call this? Oh, this is like power electronic, or like brutal noise. Right? You're like, this is dope. I've never heard this before. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's. I want that to be this place. I want it to be like dangerous and dark. Well, not dangerous, but you know what I mean? Like, like cutting edge, man. You know, like that's like pushing the boundaries and stuff. I don't want to just be doing what like. You know, I don't want to be a sports bar that has, you know, John Bon Jovi cover band. Like I would die, dude. I love coming to work here. Like I do it like every day. I'm like, you know, I love coming to work because I get to see all this cool, like weird stuff. Awesome. Yeah, it's like, you know. So
no, it's one of the most important things that are out there. One, you know, find out what you love to do in the world and then do it every day, and you never have to work a day in your life. Right. That being said, I also want to say, and I want to touch upon, yes, you had to let go of all the bartenders, but that's because you guys went behind the bar and worked. You didn't bring in another staff. You know, the owners were behind the bar because they needed to make rent. They needed to make rent not just for the establishment, for their own households. You know, so in no way are we pouring salt on anyone else's hustle, but I wanted to highlight that because it's not like, you know, and you know, you guys getting into more of the DJ nights and different things like that. You know, for all the people that are biting their nails right now, they're not toads. There's not going to be a foam party. That's not what it's about. It's about that next underground aspect of it. It's about growth. That's one of the most important things. See, what the articles couldn't do for you, that's what this show's for. We've got your back, Paddy.
Thank you. 9 months later, you know, gotta repair, gotta save out here. But I mean, that is the thing, man. It's like you come here and it's like it's me or Jesse, the other owner, behind the bar every night. It's not like we fired everybody and like put in a bunch of Hooters waitresses. Like, you know what I mean? It's always us, and you know, and in a way, there's advantages to that too, because like people come in, or like, you know, if you're a band playing and you're like, you know, you're worried about like who's gonna pay me at the end of the night, or like what do I do if it's like the guy behind the bar, like you know what I mean? Like he's paying you, he's here till last call. He's gonna be here later than you are, so you know, it helps, you know. Yeah,
that's only because I haven't played there yet. Usually, I start helping cleaning up the chairs and everything. Just from the years of working in bars, it just kind of sticks with me. I'm like, gotta help, gotta clean. You got a rag. You got a rag. I'll clean this table. It's fine. I'll bust for you.
I'll clean up my own vomit. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. Well, I'm very territorial about my vomit.
You know what? You know what's cool though is that like I've never experienced this in any place I ever worked, but like, you know, the community aspect here at Cafe 9 is so crazy strong that like because we don't have, I don't know really. I mean, we have pre-sales, that where I can sort of tell like how a night's gonna go, and I'll be like, okay, 50 pre-sales, like me and Jesse both got to be here bartending. But there's nights where I'm like, oh, it's Tuesday night, and it's like it's like some punk band from Ireland that's never even been to the States before. Like I don't really think it's gonna. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh my god, there's like 80 people here, and I'm getting crushed. And like I'll have friends and like regulars that will gather all the dirty glasses for me and put their bar back for me. I have like friends that work in other bars come behind the bar and like will help me out, washing glasses and stuff like that. And I'm like, any other bar I ever worked at, they would just be like, "Oh man, you're getting rocked, huh? Like you're getting really busy." But like Cafe Night, like people like help out, man, and like people will, and as far as like it being like a safe space for people, it's like it's people will tell me, hey, there's some people out there like making these girls uncomfortable or making these people uncomfortable, and it's like I love when people tell me that, because I mean we're lucky in a sense that like I've never really had to lay out any ground rules and or anything like that, but it's like the people that come here are great. Like we never have to really throw anybody out. It's like if we do, it's like so few and far between. Usually I can have a conversation with people. Like you can come to Cafe 9. We have so many like women that come here alone, like after their shifts in the service industry. Like we're a big service industry bar. And like I have so many like female friends, non-binary friends that come here like alone or with friends. They sit there and they have a drink and they get left alone. You know what I mean? Like if nobody bothers them or I mean, like if they want to start a conversation, it's always cool and civil and productive. But like I don't ever have to like pick people out for being terrible people here. It's I'm I don't want to jinx myself, but
it's a safe space.
Yeah, it is.
They all need that. Everyone needs that. Yeah.
Yeah. For sure.
Well, and a lot of that, comes from the fact that you are cultivating an original underground type of feel and a type of scene. Right. A lot of the knuckleheads will stay away because you're not playing Taylor Swift, so there's no reason for them to come into your bar. And whatever, for all those who love Taylor Swift, go enjoy it. I'm never going to spend that much on a concert to say. I love Billy Joel and Elton John, and I wouldn't pay that much money to see both of them if I was standing on stage. Right. Okay, let's be real. I'll take that $10, $15 and I'll go see like a local band, or on a good Wednesday night, I'll take that $10, $15 and go see three different shows at three different locations, walking down up and down Crown Street. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's be real. It's an incredible aspect to go about. Now, what are kind of the pitfalls? You're following Paul's amazing layout and you're following that incredible structure. Where have you seen where you need to buff it out a little bit? Like you're like, okay, that one just needs a little bit of extra. I don't know. Like maybe get someone in for a tattoo flash sale or something like that.
Yeah. Well, honestly, the only thing I'm really, and this has nothing to do with Paul. It really has, because like I'm the one who's doing the booking. But in this new year, I've really, really kind of made it a point to like just try to diversify like the people that are playing on stages, and because actually one of my friends called me out, like he's like, oh, you book a lot of like white bands here, and I'm like, I was like, I do, like, and it's not like it's not so, and so I've been trying to like just kind of just reach out or just like encourage that, because I want I want like I would love like all just every just buddy just being represented here, because that's the one thing I feel like I haven't, and it's not like it's not an intentional thing. I get emails from bands, I don't know what they look like, I don't, you know what I mean, it's not and I book them based on like how they sound. A lot of times like the Bandcamp page is just like a picture of their thing, and my friend Juan called me out on that. He's like, yeah, you don't really have a whole lot of like black and brown bands here, and I'm like, dude, you're right. Like, and coming from New York, it's like it's that's, you just take that for granted that like you don't have to like really like diversify the stuff. So I mean, I'm kind of using this as like a call to arms, like like, yeah, like all the dope like black and brown bands, like hit me up. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I will book you. Cause that is one thing in 2024 that like I realized like it has to be, you know, it's, you know, it's you got to do it. You know, it's
Right.
everybody's got to, you know, especially if well, I'm not an all ages club, but you know, I want people to like see the bands up on stage and be like, you know, I can do that too. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
you want everybody to have that opportunity, that representation
Well,
of themselves.
Yeah.
representation is so super important. And
Yeah,
that being
'cause it's like,
said, you call them out, but I will call out directly. The Adventures of Thaddeus Black need to hit up Cafe 9.
yeah, hit me up.
So just so you know, I'm calling them out directly, and I will tag them in this later on as well to make sure stuff like that happens.
Yeah.
You know, make sure Indigo needs to play back at Cafe 9 because Indigo always slays it when they're performing. You know, there's a whole bunch of acts that are out there, even reaching out possibly for one of the singer-songwriter nights. Hopefully Sarah Gali is still playing music, and you can add in that type of aspect of it. And I'm calling these musicians out directly, and I'm telling them they need to hit you up.
Yeah.
And that's one of those keys. So instead of just broadly saying it, I'm gonna call out the ones that are there, and that's the other. Yeah, cool. Come on, man.
I mean, that's the thing too. Like, I had like an all-white Afrobeat band from Vermont hit me up, and I'm like, dog, come on. Because it's like you get like
That would've been a
I
bad
have
look.
like on the calendar for 2024. It's like I got like
That would've
all
been a bad
all
look,
this cool world music. Like I mean, like I came from like a roots reggae background. Man. I played in a band with Screechy Dan, and like I played drums for Cuddy Ranks, and like I came up in like the dancehall reggae scene like in Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying? And it's like so I have a bunch of reggae bands. I got a bunch of I got some West African guys coming through, like playing West African music. I got some cumbia bands. I got some like South American bands. So yeah, it's like I said, I got this like all white like Afrobeat band from Vermont hitting me up, and I'm just like, I mean,
no, it's not
and
working out.
yeah, it's like I mean they're dope, but it's like again the whole thing that Paul Meyer started at Cafe 9 was like authenticity and like the real deal stuff, like you know what I mean. So it's just kind of like, yo guys, like if you're gonna play, not saying white people can't play Afrobeat, but just like I'm already booking West African guys, like you know what I'm saying, who play that kind of music like authentically. For me as an audience member, I would rather see that, like you know what I mean. Like if I'm gonna go pay money for a ticket to go see a certain style of music, like I'd want it to be the real thing, That's all.
Ain't nothing like the real thing on WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven. Myself, Preston, and my partner in crime, Long Island Raised, Elm City made. Easy Blues is in the building. We got Paddy with us on the show. Go ahead, Easy.
No, it's super important, and one of the things that we talk about on the show all the time is, I quote Bob Dylan: "If you're going to be an outlaw, you better be honest." And that's one of the key points, about the whole thing. No matter what style of music is in you, and make sure it's honest. Like you're never going to see me talking about Bugattis or chains around my neck, because it's not the life I live. You know what I'm saying? And that's just the way that it goes. Make sure that you are authentic and make sure that you're out there. Now, what other advice can you give for those younger bands that are terrified to reach out? Because look, Cafe 9, I remember when I first moved out here, that was on my checklist. One of the things that I needed to do that when I knew that I cracked into the New Haven scene was to play Cafe 9. So it can, with its history, it can kind of be scary for like some of the younger bands that don't feel like they have that following or they have anything like that. You're saying they need to be consistent and they need to be good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big picture kind of person. I don't I'm not gonna write somebody off. And I mean, we have touring bands that come through, and they're from out of town. And like, if you're playing at Cafe 9, 90% of the time, you're probably not super duper famous. You know what I mean? Not saying you're not doing your thing and you're not touring, but like a lot of times, like I have to tell people, hey, I got this really great like Nashville like band coming through, and people are like, yeah, I've never heard of them. Great, like that's kind of the whole that's like the whole framework of this place. You know what I mean?
Right.
Is like, we we get the bands that like are playing at College Street Music Hall like 2 years from now, So it's I mean, I don't care if like if I book you and the only thing I really want to see is just like a little bit of effort, like with the co-promotion, because like I promote the hell out of basically every show because we pay our bills with the bar sales. So if I have an empty bar, like we all lose,
Right.
So I always make it a point to promote a lot of these shows, and but the if I book you and it's like, especially if it's like a Tuesday, Wednesday, even like Thursday night, and it's not like a packed house, like I don't care. I'm not gonna like hold it against people like, oh, your band sucks, like I'm never booking you again. Because I have touring bands that come through that like are sent to me by like talent companies and agents and stuff like that, and they don't always do so. Most of the time they don't sell the place out, you know what I mean? And I don't ever look at it. I always have them back because I'm like, you're routing a tour, you're up and coming, and I think their music's great, so I'm like, yeah, of course you can come back. That's all that really matters to me. You know what I mean? And just like I said, just like a little bit of effort. That's all. Like, social media is free. Like, you don't have to take out a billboard ad, like, by like the cute Brit, hey, I'm playing Café 9 or anything like that. It's just like, like post a little bit on Facebook, post a little bit on Instagram, whatever it is, like, tell your friends and stuff like that. And, that's about it,
Right.
So
now, you guys have taken the week off after the new year, and you're going to be open the doors tomorrow. Why don't we take this last couple of we got some time left, but let's talk about what you got coming up on this bill this week to get all these people out there and to remind them that Café 9 is open and still rocking and rolling. So Tuesday night, what are you looking at for Tuesday night?
Tuesday night, we got the New Haven Jazz Underground. That's something that again, it's been before my time. Nick DiMaria is a jazz trumpet player, and he started this really great. I mean, it's a really great like grassroots thing. Basically, the format is it's the second and fourth Tuesday, and it starts out with like a house band. He'll usually get like some either like it. They can come from like all over, but he gets a lot of guys, a lot of people from New York to come up, and it's basically like, so there's a house band, they play a set, and then it's like an open format jazz jam. So tomorrow he's got Wesley Lewis. Wesley, I think is I think he's involved in like the Yale jazz scene, and Wesley's great. He's gonna have a house band, and then they open it up. I mean, I see a lot of like the same faces.
Right.
For a lot of these, but for me, I think that's great because it's like it shows that like it's important to the community, and B, like it works. Like you want to see, like I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in the best way possible. It's like it's like and the patrons too, So that's like a really cool thing. I mean, we have a Saturday afternoon. We have a jazz jam. It's usually skewed a little more towards like an older crowd,
right? Of course.
And we have usually we have the same four guys that will host that, but it's the same format. There's a band that plays like a set, and then they open it up to like this open jam format, which I think is great, man, because it's like it's like this community event. People come through and they play music together. It's like there's no downside to that,
No, none at all. None at all.
And then Wednesday we have this really interesting show. It's you guys, Shane Penguin, and then it's first Jason. So it's Ari Lehman. It's the guy who was the original Jason Voorhees in the Friday the 13th movie series, and he's got this like horror punk. Like he plays guitar, which is super sick because like that's a super underrated instrument. Totally. And he's gonna do like a meet and greet and everything like that. But his band is amazing. Like I mean like they led with like hey, it's like the original Jason Voorhees and I mean there's like a big like horror like scene up here in Connecticut either way. But I mean, again, like if his band sucked, I wouldn't have booked him, and his band does not suck. They're like incredible. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so like that's gonna be like a really, really interesting bill, you know, just because
All it is.
it's like,
I call it the Scooby Doo bill because you have us, and then you have Jay. So it's like Jason meets Shane Penguin.
well, I mean, honestly, I like booking. I mean, honestly, I'm not gonna book like like a free jazz band with like a hardcore band. You know what I mean?
Right.
I like bills to be like semi-cohesive, but like my favorite shows are I don't want to book like 3 or 4 of the same exact bands.
Right.
Like to
Exactly.
me, that's like by the time the second band gets done, you're already worn out. You're like, all right, I've heard like an hour and a half of the same kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So I always like bills that like on paper they don't really make a whole lot of sense. You know what I mean? Even like with the house music that we play here, like it's like I got like a lot of 70s punk and I got a lot of like, outlaw country and stuff like that. But like it's I think it's hysterical when it's like a hardcore band's done playing and then you hear like, Lonnie Mack or like Loretta Lynn or something. You know what I mean? Because it's like Loretta Lynn is punk, dude. I don't care what anybody says.
Loretta
It's
Lynn
like,
is punk, and anyone who doesn't
Loretta Lynn's
agree with
punk.
that,
Yeah,
no,
a lot of those
definitely.
old country people, they're crazier than anybody. Like George Jones is like
Right.
he parties harder than anybody. You know what I mean?
No,
So you're not gonna tell
no,
me George Jones is not punk.
no, definitely. George Jones is definitely punk. Getting drunk, driving down the highway on his lawnmower.
Lawnmower. The
So, and
lawnmower.
now Thursday, you've got the Danglers, right?
Yeah. Oh my God. So the Danglers are incredible because I had this guy Wayne coming into the bar and my friend Hugh that does the posters for
Right.
he's our like graphics guy. He calls
Mm.
Wayne the drip god because Wayne is just like the quintessential like cowboy. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Like
it's so
just
incredible.
like
Wayne is an experience. Unfortunately, though, they are starting to pull the Apollo curtain on us. We only got about 2 minutes. We want to give this time
sure.
to you, so how people can get in contact with you, how they can support Cafe 9.
Yeah.
When are those new designs going to be on a T-shirt? This is the things that I need to know.
Yeah. Okay. So we're it should be like the end of this month. I go to this guy Russ in West Haven at Battle Zone. Because again he's a local guy. I like spreading the love around. So Russ from Battle Zone is gonna be printing up the new shirts probably by the end of the month. I just gotta figure out how to make them on black shirts because the logo background is yellow and I don't think anybody wants mustard yellow shirts. I mean, whatever. Maybe people do. But the best way to get in contact with me as far as anything, like especially booking, is email. Email. It's cafe9booking@gmail.com. If you forget that, go to the Cafe 9 website and there's a form that will automatically send it to my email. I'm a visual person. I have to like read it. Then I have to. I want to hear your stuff. It's like I get people like calling the house phone here, and I'm like, yeah, I appreciate like the old school ethic, but I'm like, that stuff gets lost in the sauce. I got to sit down and see it in my email and stuff like that. So yeah, cafe9booking@gmail.com and www.cafe9.com will also get you there. And as far as supporting Cafe 9, I mean, just come out and support the bands. That's what I want. I mean, like, it's we're just a vehicle for the bands, the local touring and whatever. But it's like I want people to come and support the bands, come and buy the merch because that's our bread and butter is giving these bands a home to play. And if you're supporting the bands, you're supporting the place.
Exactly.
Plain and simple,
No, it's been an honor and a privilege to have you on. And now, to set the record 100% straight, nothing is actually changing with Cafe 9. It's just two new guys rocking the same formula. Go out there and support this dang venue. I will see you all. Every single one of you better be there on Wednesday. I will see all of you.
That's right. And everybody really should, they should tip their hat to Paul Meyer because really it's like, he's the one. Like, I'm just continuing what he started, man. So everyone, should give a hand for Paul Meyer because he started it all,
Definitely.
And you are continuing it, and we appreciate you.
Hey, thank you. Thanks for having me on the show. This was a blast.
Absolutely. Thank you, Paddy. We love to have you on again. So much knowledge on WNHH LP 103.5 FM New Haven, myself, Preston, and EZ BlueZ.
wondering what to write about, trying to figure out what it's all about. Existentialist, am I worth anything or just discount? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Spending time all alone, sending my songs to the phone, dreaming of a better home, while focused on trying to hone this craft.